What is going on, ladies and gents? How you doing? It's been a while since I did a longer form video. I've had a ton of shorts. I just haven't had a lot of time in between projects to do videos. We've had to just bang out some work. It's the day after Christmas. I've got some time today. So, what we're working on here is our big block 68 Camaro that we're working on for High Octane Classics. It's a cleanish car. It's got a big honking 454 in it. Unknown specs, but it idles like a dragster, so it's got a fairly decent cam with some heavy overlap. Belts squeal like pigs, so we're going to take care of that today. So what this has in it, it looks like a no-name Amazon Alibaba front runner type kit. This belt is way off. You can, if you look straight down at it, you can see this whole pump is kicked this way. These brackets do not hold this thing tight at all, as well as the alternator side, and you can physically see that. And these bolts that hold it are all stripped. Actually, you can see this one, this hole is all ovaled out from that thing bouncing around. So what we've got to replace this is a whole front drive kit from CVF. So I'm going to unbox this stuff and see what we got going on. Alright, so you don't have to get it, but we optioned our kit with the alternator and the power steering. I didn't want to bother trying to reuse any of that stuff. I didn't know if it was going to line up and be correct for this front drive kit, so we just got everything. Everything but the water pump. The water pump I know is correct. With the alternator, they give you your SERP belt pulley. They give you a nice billet fan to go on there. This is pretty nice. Pulley cap. Like I said, power steering pump. These are all your power steering brackets and hardware. Your crank pulley, your water pump pulley, your two belts that you need. This is all your alternator brackets and hardware. And then your power steering pulley. So first thing we're going to do is strip this old busted piece of crap system off of here. Alright, I've run into my first major issue here. One, was lucky to get these bolts out because they were basically seized in the aluminum and in the block. Two, I'm going to be lucky to get these fans out and out of my way. As you can see, there's jack shit for clearance right there. This is a horrible fan setup. I do not like it at all. There's no reason it had to have this step out here when the fans themselves have a step out, so that puts them even closer to that. So, for the sake of not swearing while filming, I'm going to try to get these out with an Allen wrench to have some clearance to get this fan assembly out of here. Alright, after some choice words, I just unbolted. It's going to be a pain in the butt to bolt it back together, but it'll go back together, and just slid it down so we can get our stuff out. As soon as I get this water pump pulley off, we will start getting everything else off, and then I'm going to have to put it back together in an order which should not hopefully screw me. All right, here we are. That was not fun. I don't know whose kit this was. It's definitely an Amazon no-name kit. That was horrible. The bracketry and the hardware they used was just, oh my God. I really didn't know if I was going to get it apart without breaking stuff. So now I'm going to go through my instructions for everything. This side should fit perfectly fine. Oh, actually both sides should fit perfectly fine because the power steering does not use the bracket on the water pump now. It bolts directly to the block. The only thing I got to check, this has a weird design female end on the power steering pump instead of having your normal male AN fitting or pipe fitting type deal. So I'm going to go over all that and make sure that's all good, and then we'll get to installing this thing. Okay, so I have fit this bracket up to the engine and nothing interferes, so we're good there. I'm going to say right off the bat, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I'm not really impressed with this kit. It looks nice, but right off the bat, it's supposed to have 2 of these spacers. Well, I probably should show you that. 2 of these spacers and 2 of these spacers. I have 2 of these spacers, but only 1 of these spacers, and I'm not sure if I'm going to need it. Plus, they have you... They don't actually even say. They tell you you have to bolt this through with this bolt. And that puts this whole thing out of alignment. So we're going to leave the factory stud in there and install it with a nut and a lock washer and see how that all fits. But before I put this on, we're actually going to bolt on our crank pulley so that once I get this on there, I can see how my pulley alignment is. All right, first thing we're going to do is fit this thing on the balancer and make sure it fits. Because sometimes things aren't machined right. All right, that's good. That looks like it fits. Next thing I'm going to do is get some Loctite for my 3 retaining bolts, because you don't want these loosening up. Okay, crank pulley is on. We'll grab my power steering pump and see how my belt alignment is. All right, guys. I am not going to tell you this kit is awesome. Because it's not. The instructions and how to shim it and this and that and pretty much everything written leaves a lot to be desired. Wow, that's bright. But power steering is on there now. It's not perfect. I might have to redo some shimming and stuff. But I did crank it over and there is no more noise, thankfully. So I guess now I'm going to start with the alternator side. The worst part about these instructions was there is no mention. They have the big spacers, which you can't see now. So I have spacers between my back bracket and the block, which I fitted up there by hand. And I went, yeah, no, this is way too close to the block. The pulley's way far in. So that's what those spacers are for. They don't tell you that. Somebody like me, you'll get that, yeah. But your average guy that's never done one of these before, you'll have no idea what's going on. So we are, I'm going to start putting together the stuff for the alternator side. I have to change out, they give you an alternator with a V-belt pulley. So I have to change that out for this one, which they also give you a cool little cap, which I'm pretty sure I optioned to not have it, as well as optioned to not have this fan. But they give you this billet fan too. So I am going to start putting this stuff together and see how this side fits, hopefully a lot better than this side fit, but we'll see. And then I have to figure out how I'm going to get my fans back in. So you guys didn't see because it was on the time lapse, but to get these fans out, I undid the top radiator mount thing, which I'm not really thrilled about this style, and just slid them all the way down and out. So it's probably the way it's going to come back up and in. I will have more room since we are using button heads here instead of regular Allen bolts, but still not thrilled about it. And then also, these electric fans and this vacuum pump, I do not like how they are. The fans I'm doing something about. So these fans are wired directly into your fuse block. Even though there's relays here, they're getting power right from the fuse block, which that's a lot of amperage to try to pull from the fuse block. And they are on the instant you turn the key on. They're not on a thermostatic switch anywhere, or even a manual switch. So what I have coming is a Summit double relay kit, one relay for each fan, with a thermostatic switch. Now we don't have anywhere to mount a second thermostatic switch on this intake, and if you know these Mark IV big blocks at all, you'll destroy every Allen and your sensibilities if you try to pull the plug out of the head down there. So what I have coming is a Dorman water neck that has a 3/8 and a 1/2 inch port in it, so we can put our sensor in there. But, whew, it's kicking my butt. This is not nice. Just, everybody just do a Holley front runner. It's as simple as that. Or a nice, like that we got on the GTO, billet specialties. Whew. Everybody tries to save a buck, and you know who pays for it? The guy installing the stuff. Wow, the things you find when you're working on other people's things. So there's early and late model heads, and this bolt hole, or these bolt holes, will either be 7/16 14 thread or 3/8 16 thread. This head, or these heads, are 7/16 14 thread, so that's what should have been in there. They had this 3/8 16 bolt in there, so it's no wonder the entire assembly was loose on this side. Get the right bolt, get the right kit, because that's one thing this kit does offer, is it gives you both the 7/16 and the 3/8 size of these, depending on which heads you have, early or late model. Well, I guess that's cool. I found one thing that was terminally wrong, or another thing that was terminally wrong with this original kit we took off. All right, let me get back to putting this on here. Oh, actually, hey, take a look at my alternator with its billet fan on it. Pretty cool. So hopefully, if all this mounting mounts up the way it's supposed to, this should be an easy side, I hope. We'll see. I don't know. But let's get into it. And before you guys flame me about, not everybody can afford a $2,500 Holley front runner, there's a reason they're $2,500, because they are the most complete, perfect fitting front runners that I've used anyways. I've used quite a few. That would definitely make this installation 100 times easier. Plus, it would be tucked in further, so we'd have more fan to radiator room, or water pump to radiator room to fan, whatever. All right, let me get back on putting this bracket and this stuff on and see how and if it fits. All right, alternator is on. I changed a couple things. They had, where did it go? This bolt here to hold this on here, and as you can see, you only get like maybe 1/4 inch of threads, and this is going to be a high vibration area, and that has tension on it because it's holding tension on the belt, not a lot, but some tension. So I just replaced this with a 1-inch bolt, so we have a good bite in there now. Alternator is all in, so now I am going to, I took the water pump pulley off to put this bolt in just because it made it easier. Now I'm going to put the water pump pulley on, check my belt alignment. From what I can see right here looking at it, alternator and crank pulley look good. So we're in the finishing touches here. They also in their instructions tell you that, as I said, the 3/8 and the 7/16, and we have the 7/16. If you do have the 7/16, you have to drill out this, barrel drill this spacer and drill the bottom of the alternator here to fit the 7/16 bolt. But we now have the correct bolt in there that's not going to be loose, and hopefully we will have zero belt squeak anymore ever. Well, here we go. So we're we're good. That's pretty lined up. So both belts look good. They're not interfering with anything. They look straight. I am going to, don't mind, I got stuff running in the background because you watch car stuff while you're working on cars, right? Except for this commercial for credit lines and stuff. Gonna put my fan back up from underneath now. And then hook up my radiator hose, and I think we might be ready to start. I already hooked up my alternator feed, and this is a 1-wire alternator, so super easy stuff. So yeah, so let me lay on my back and put that monstrosity back up in there. All right, so we're all back together. These fans went in way easier than they came out. I know I got a little bit more room with the water pump pulley, like I said, with those bolts not being actual Allens and being button heads, but this thing slid right up and in. Wish it was that easy coming apart. So, let's see. Let me take another look, make sure I got everything. Heater hose, yeah, blah, 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 blah. All right. Let's see if we got any belt squeal. And if we don't, I got to move a whole bunch of crap, and then we're going to pull it outside and let it warm up. If I can find the keys. There we go. Okay, so we're going to top this coolant off. Then we're going to start up this hot rod and let it warm up and bleed the coolant system as I spill some of it. We're all warmed up. Okie dokie. So we are done. Everything's up to operating temp, bled, we have heat, there's no more air bubbles in the system. Not too bad. Everything stayed lined up. Belts feel good. Nothing's super hot like it's riding an edge or anything. Everything's got plenty of clearance. There's no leaks or anything from anything I did, which mainly would just be this side of the water pump, because the old drive kit used these two bolts. So, and those are your two main mount bolts for the water pump. So thankfully I didn't have to pull the water pump off, change the gasket, because that gasket stayed intact. What do I think of it? So, would I use this on one of my own vehicles? No, for a couple of reasons. One, I don't think I'll ever own anything with a big block. I'm an LS guy, so... but that's not a real reason. Two, why? It's not a bad kit. It's just, for me, the simplicity, completeness, appearance of a Holley mid-mount just looks a lot better. Does this work? Absolutely. Were the directions a little vague and kind of crappy? Absolutely. But if you got common mechanical knowledge, shouldn't be an issue. If you're a first timer trying to put this on, yeah, it might be an issue. Especially the part where if you have a 7/16 bolt head here and you have to drill those out, you really got to read through the fine print to see where they say at the very end, hey, you need to drill this out if it's a 7/16 bolt. Not a big asterisk or bold letters, but you'd have to do that. It does what it's supposed to do. It sits on there good. I think, actually, I would have a little bit more admiration for it if we were doing it on a nice, clean, fresh build. We didn't have all this gaudy steel braided hoses, you know, taking your eyes away from everything. I think it would be a very nice looking kit on something freshly built. But no, it does what it needs to do. So yeah, I'll put the part number for it somewhere around here and down in the description. It's not a bad kit. So we only have two things left to do on this car before it can go back. I have to figure out the horn circuit. Something is screwed majorly in the steering column itself. Keeps melting turn signal switches. So we got to figure out where this short is and what's going on. And, oh, fans. Wire these fans to work on a thermostatic switch instead of being on full time, because otherwise warming up out there would have happened a lot faster than it did right now. But yeah, not bad for, you know, the price. It's under $1,000, I believe, is what it was. I'll also put whatever I think we paid for it in here, or they paid for it. But yeah, not bad. All right, I'm gonna try to get back to doing some more longer videos, installations, what's going on with everything. But like I said, we're just so busy right now. I have not had time to sit in front of a camera and do something like this, so I've been doing a lot of shorts instead. Today, like I said, was the day after Christmas, so there was plenty of time. It's kind of a slow day. But yeah, we have, don't worry though, because we have engine for the 70 Firebird. We have 2 cars getting full ride tech suspensions, and a bunch of other stuff going on too. So we'll have some stuff coming to you, and it's winter time here, so it slows down a little bit. We're trying to take care of everything to get everybody ready to go back out in the springtime. Hopefully by the springtime, the 70 F100 hopefully will be done, so I can drive that, because I want to drive that thing around and put some miles on it, because that's going to be a fun truck to drive with the 302 and a 5-speed. So until then, or until next time, I'll talk to you guys later.